What's up, guys? Today I wanted to make a quick video and just talk about trigger discipline. Here's a Glock 19. I'm going to remove the magazine and clear the firearm for you so you can see. Before I jump into this, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe if you like this channel. But let's get to it. Trigger discipline is following universal safety rule number 3, which is we keep our finger off the trigger and outside of the trigger guard until we're on target and we're 100% ready to shoot. The violation of trigger discipline would be any time we put our finger on the trigger or inside of this trigger guard and we're not on target and 100% ready to shoot. Here's the problem with that, because I see crazy pictures all the time of people like, yeah, new gun, who's this? Or you don't want no problems with me. And it's crazy. It makes me cringe every time. Here's why people, if you ever been on social media forums and people just eat people alive for trigger discipline, here's why. So firearms and the use of firearms is all about muscle memory. We do things for repetition. We train our bodies to do things without thinking about it. Your amygdala has a direct connection to your motor cortex in your brain that tells your body to do something. Under stress, once an alarm is tripped off, same thing like a firearm. Somebody was to kick in my front door, my mind would automatically go up on target. The problem with the lack of trigger discipline, meaning we're putting our finger on the trigger before we're on target and ready to shoot. The problem with that is what we teach our mind to do when there's no threat is exactly what we'll do with a threat. Meaning, if my finger is constantly resting on this trigger and I'm just chilling, I'm just playing with the trigger, I'm taking pictures with my finger on the trigger, when it's time to actually defend myself, and I draw my gun, nothing stops me from prematurely pulling that trigger. In fact, I'm going to be more apt to prematurely pull that trigger because I've taught my mind subconsciously, my muscle memory, to always keep my finger on the trigger. All right. There's a saying that I believe and I teach my students that what you'll do with an empty gun, you'll do with a loaded gun. All right. Because our minds don't naturally, nothing is going to change in my subconscious because this magazine has entered the gun, all right? So, let me re-clear that firearm for you. What we have to remember is that whatever we do with an unloaded gun is exactly the habits that we'll have with a loaded gun. We want to practice always keeping our finger off the trigger. Make sure you guys can see that, off that trigger, and outside of this trigger guard until we are on our target and we are 100% ready to shoot. Then we're going to pull the trigger. Let's do a quick rundown of the universal safety rules because this is highlighting safety rule number 3, but I like to run through all of them just in case you need it. So rule number 1 is we're going to treat every gun like it's loaded, even if we know it's not. All right, we're always going to perform a check. We pick up a firearm. So I set my firearm down, I go do something, come back, pick it up, gonna drop my mag, gonna lock my slide back, gonna make sure I can see through there, make sure you guys can see me through there, and then I'm gonna check the inside of that feed ramp and barrel area to make sure that there's no round in the chamber. Again, I want you guys to see that clearly. We're gonna do that every time we pick up a gun. Every single time. Rule number 2, we're never going to point at anything we're not willing to shoot. All right, if you would not shoot your mom, you probably don't want to point your gun at your mom. People who do stuff like this in group settings, even if they're just joking, it pisses me off, all right? We're never going to point at anything we don't want to shoot. Even on camera, I try to do this. I try to avoid pointing directly at the camera because I wouldn't want to shoot my phone. And again, you build that memory that I'm never, ever going to point my gun at anything that I don't want to shoot. All right. I teach my students to pretend that there's a laser coming out of this gun, and anybody it touches or anything it touches is destroyed. All right, some people think that that's corny. Whatever works for you, you got to realize we're never going to point this gun at anybody we don't want to shoot or anything we don't want to shoot, not just people. Number 3 is the one that we're highlighting in this video. We're going to keep our finger off this trigger and outside of this trigger guard until we're 100% ready to shoot after we've locked on our target. All right. Rule number 4 is know your target and what's beyond your target. All right. Especially in self-defense situations, we never want to be in a situation where we're shooting and it's not safe behind the target that we're shooting. Meaning if we're shooting in self-defense, but there are people behind the person we're shooting, there's children behind the person we're shooting, there's a car behind the person we're shooting, with people in it, we never ever want to endanger anybody. Always know your target and what's beyond it. And if it's not a safe, effective backstop, if that round over penetrates, don't shoot. Hit me in the comments if you need to know anything else. Otherwise, y'all be safe. Brains before bullets. Think before you shoot. See y'all on the next one.